Air disasters involving in 32, in 26, and in 12 in the Congo airline negligence at the cost of human lives. This is the story of 3 air disasters in the Republic of Congo and the Democratic Republic of the Congo involving aircraft designed by the Antonov Design Bureau. And according to the source, they all had one thing in common: negligence. On January 8, 1996, an N-32B operated by the airline Moscow Airways was flying under a leasing agreement with the local airline African Air in the Republic of Zaire. The aircraft was operating a cargo flight from Kinshasa to Kahemba, carrying food and consumer goods. The flight departed from Ndolo Airport in Kinshasa at 11:40 in the morning. The runway was dry and paved with asphalt. It was 1,700 meters long. The aircraft began its takeoff at 11:40 local time, with the flaps extended to 25 degrees. 28 seconds after the beginning of the takeoff roll, at a speed of 130 kilometers per hour, the elevator was deflected to 20 degrees and remained in that position until the end of the flight. 32 seconds after the takeoff roll began, the aircraft's pitch angle increased by 3.5 degrees. By the 39th second, the aircraft had reached 194 kilometers per hour, a speed corresponding to the climb speed. The aircraft's stated takeoff weight was 26 tons. 42 seconds after the start of the takeoff roll, the aircraft reached its rotation speed of 204 kilometers per hour, but it never actually lifted off. The aircraft continued moving along the runway. At the 47th second, the crew attempted to abort the takeoff by reducing engine power. 3 seconds later, they removed the propellers from the thrust position, but the crew's attempts to stop the takeoff failed. The aircraft overran the runway and left the airport grounds. There were no visible braking marks on the runway. The airport had no barrier beyond the end of the runway. Immediately beyond the runway was a drainage ditch running perpendicular to the runway. Beyond the ditch was a highway, and beyond the highway was a busy city market. During the overrun, the aircraft struck the concrete embankment of the drainage ditch. It then entered the market area, continued through the rows of market stalls for approximately 240 meters, and caught fire after colliding with market structures. The flight engineer was killed. Everyone else on board was injured. According to Red Cross information, 297 people on the ground were killed. The aircraft had been loaded by African Air without the crew present and without taking the aircraft's characteristics into account. According to calculations, the actual takeoff weight was approximately 34 tons. That was far above the maximum permitted weight of 27 tons. The cause of the accident was an aircraft taking off with a weight exceeding the maximum allowable limit. The investigation also pointed to negligence by ground personnel during loading and a lack of proper control by the flight crew. The extremely high number of casualties was largely caused by the presence of a crowded market on land belonging to the airport. But this was not the end of the accidents involving Antonov aircraft in Kinshasa. 11 years later, on October 4, 2007, an An-26 operating a combined cargo and passenger flight from Kinshasa to Tshekapa in Kananga departed from Njili International Airport in Kinshasa. The aircraft belonged to Africa One Airlines and had been leased by Malift Air. During takeoff, the propeller of the right engine suddenly separated from the aircraft. This caused a loss of lift and altitude. The pilots attempted to maneuver the aircraft, but because of an imbalance in the aircraft's center of gravity, it banked and struck trees. The impact caused the aircraft to lose its right wing. The airliner then entered a dive and crashed into a residential area of Kinshasa, destroying several houses. Only one survivor was found at the crash site, the flight engineer. The cause of the accident was attributed to structural deficiencies caused by worn engine components and deterioration of the aircraft's skin. The aircraft had been operated for a long time in a tropical climate. The aircraft was also overloaded. According to some reports, 27 people were on board instead of the declared 16. Other sources stated that there were no more than 20 people on board. The exact amount of cargo carried by the aircraft was unknown. After the crash, authorities began discussing a possible ban on flights by Antonov aircraft. However, according to the source, no actual measures were taken. 52 people were killed in the accident, including 3 Russian pilots. But another 4 years later, on March 21, 2011, an N-12 crashed in the Republic of Congo. The aircraft belonged to Transair Congo. It was operating a flight from Brazzaville to Pointe-Noire. During the approach to landing, the number 3 and number 4 engines failed. The automatic propeller feathering system did not activate. Because of propeller auto-rotation and a powerful yawing moment, the aircraft rolled over its wing and crashed in a residential area of Pointe-Noire in the south of the Republic of Congo. All 4 crew members and 5 passengers were killed. 14 people on the ground also lost their lives. The cause of the accident was a technical failure of the aircraft. It was known that in 2006, 1 year before the crash, the aircraft had been declared unfit for further operation. According to the source, the common factor behind all 3 disasters was airline negligence, driven by attempts to save money. But this kind of cost-cutting can ultimately lead to the loss of human lives. Responsibility for what happened lies with the airline's management and the government.